Hello miners, Rusty coming at you, and today we're going to take a look at the Ontario Knife Company. So, as you guys know, Ontario sold their name. They quit making knives in the United States, and because of that, I wanted to pick up at least a couple of their knives. I bought a couple more rats, which, don't laugh, but they're made in Taiwan, but I wanted them while they're under the original company. I was afraid they might be going out. This one is called the 499 Survival with Sheath, made in the USA, June 23rd. So we will take a peek at what we got here. And shout out to Tobias Gibson. I watched some of his videos, and he gave me some information. He gave the whole world some information about these knives. So, from what I can understand, this is a pilot survival knife. It's military spec, meaning it was built for contract for the military. And I'm not sure if it went to Navy pilots, Air Force pilots, all the pilots. But it is a pilot survival knife. So, not even sure how far back this goes. I want to say Ontario got into it about 1968. And that's, haven't verified that. I'm kind of going off my memory. Until then, you're going to see companies like, who we got? Pal, Utica, Camillus, Catarugas. I'm trying to think who else might have built these. So, Ontario got it. There's just a mixture of these knives. And when I say mil spec, you know, we're talking this blade shape, and that kind of thing. So I want to talk about this knife, why it became popular, and if it's a good knife. So hang in there with me. First of all, they make two versions of this knife. They make this version, which I'm so happy I got, which would be your military type. And then they make a 499 mod. And what you'll find, the difference is the mod does not have this groove in here. And not a lot of differences. The mod does not have, it has a free spinning. You can spin this thing around. So as far as I know, this sheath would be made in the USA, and the mod sheaths were made in China. They both have very similar sharpening stones, from my understanding. And this is metal. And I think some other ones are plastic. And that's in there, so when you stick this knife in there, they did have a tendency to poke through. Now, why would they sell a mod? Well, the mod was a civilian style, actually, because of the popularity. Everybody thinks, oh, a pilot knife. Imagine, you know, it's their survival knife. They're going to go down in jungles. They're going to go down in forests. They're going to go down on beaches. This is going to be a do-it-all knife, right? Not exactly. If you watch reviews of people who bought this for survival, it fails a lot of tests. So, why did they issue it to the pilots? Well, that's a good question. Damn mess interrupting with my storytelling. So, up here, as you see, people go, oh, that's a saw. It's actually not a saw. What that's designed for, we'll talk about the features of this knife. That's designed, if the pilot were to crash, we have this pommel here, which, by the way, this is a full tang. And we have this nice, I'm not sure, they thread this on, and then they turn the tang and hammer it. And by the way, there's your date stamp, 3/11. I'll go back and take a peek. But this could be used as a hammer. and you could hammer. You're in your plane and you need to get out. You got to hammer your cockpit, maybe the glass, whatever they use for that. This stuff was designed to catch aluminum, to push it away from you. So you're going to grab this. You got this guard here. So if your knife flips off that aluminum, you're going to protect your fingers. That's one thing you don't want to do, is get additional bleeding when you already might be suffering some wounds from the crash. Now, after that, we should have, want to say that's a hollow grind blade, and they're going to have 1095 steel. So the 1095 steel is it's a tough steel. It's a carbon steel. It's not stainless. And because of that, they throw this coating on there. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but that's designed to prevent rust. And you'll find a lot of these where that's got this little, where the grinds start and end. You'll find those. So let's see how they do. All right. So, probably going to cut my finger. All right. Not what I call sharp. All right. So we'll just compare that, of course. Maybe you guys, this is a good time to demonstrate what blade stock thickness can do for you. Okay, so that's why these are daily carry. And this one, then, you could chop with this. You could hack with this. This is going to be more for building a shelter. You want to knock some limbs off. Maybe you want to make some tent stakes or anchors, those kinds of things. But yeah, it's doesn't come super sharp, does have that sharpening stone. Now, we have these ringed leather. So when this is each of these is kind of a ring of leather that they've cut, and then they stack it. So you'll call it a stacked leather handle. And it's a great way to build a knife. They do it in such a fashion that it's got this palm swell. And, if you needed to, could you fight the enemy? Yes, it's better than a stick, So, but a lot of people will take these. Sometimes I've seen these with the coating kind of polished off, and they'll sand this and they'll oil it and just make her into a dressy knife. As far as I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this one. It's got military history. It's got USA Knife history, Ontario Knife Company history. So it's got a lot of them, but there are a lot of them out there. But I just wanted to own a piece of this history. Now, stick around for some bonus. What do we have here? Well, we have the CRKT SRK. And, it's cold steel SRK. Survival rescue knife. So this one I grabbed, it's very similar in a lot of ways, and it's different in a lot of ways. So SRK is the survival knife. This one is the compact, so it has a 5-inch blade. So let's see where we're coming from. This one runs $35. I got this for $55 off of Blade HQ. I just crossed my fingers and hoped that I was getting the military $4.99 and not the $4.99 mod. Everybody else right now you're going to find $75 and $80. I can't promise you if you go to Blade HQ which one you'll get, but I want the I wanted the original military version. 35 versus 55, most likely realistically 65, 70. So twice as much money for that. We'll talk about the difference. We got about the same length of blade. It's in SK5 steel. SK5 steel is Japanese 1095. Not really, but it's the same. It's a very similar formula. And that's what it's in this knife for. Do believe, not sure, this is a full tang knife. Do believe it comes up quite a ways. And then we have this rubberized, not sure if they call that a grivery. Not exactly sure. Flat grind. Let's see how they do for sharpening. So this knife, okay, so that one comes sharp. Let's see how we are. And the blade stock thickness is sure competitive. The blade grinds, this would be flat, and I want to say this is hollow. So you could get this hollow, they could get this sharpened up, but it's going to be, I think it's thicker behind the edge here. But I hear people, when I release my video on this, they say they bought one of these and used it for hunting for the last 20 years. And it just has served them well. So I know that they can, you'll see people will baton with them. You've seen people that might, dress game. It's more useful. And I'm not sure if they issued this to any military. You guys chime in below. If anybody, I think the SEALs got a SOG knife. I'm not sure if they do use this, but other than the fact it doesn't have this top piece, this one I like built better with full tang, the leather. This one I like the blade shape, and that's really part of the difference. But this one was designed to do certain tasks. Get the pilot out of the plane. Get the pilot, building shelter. This one just kind of has more all-around purposes. So, anyways, guys, thanks for sticking with the miner. And let me know your thoughts. I'm certainly no expert on, what are we going to call this? Military history. But Tobias has better knowledge, and I found a video on this guy had about 50 pilot knives laid out with Utica, PAL, Camillus. If I get a chance, I might find it and share it in the description. All right, thanks for hanging with the miner. Hey, just a little addendum here, guys. I was wondering when I was shooting this video why my box said June of 23 and my tang says 3/11, and some quick online search tells me that 3/11 was the last revised contract for Ontario Knife Company on the 499s. So again, thanks for tuning in.